Hey, I want to talk to you about a decision a judge made regarding Blair Fleming, who plays for San Jose State women's volleyball. This judge totally blew it. Now, let me take a step back. I don't know what the procedure was or what the argument was with this judge, but the goal was to remove Blair Fleming from being able to play in college volleyball on the women's team and to in the playoffs. And part of the reasoning is that there are teams that are not being able to play in the playoffs because they boycotted the San Jose State by forfeiting their matches, not playing against Blair Fleming. This is causing a major problem. This is impacting many women in collegiate sports. This is also impacting high school sports with other players by allowing biologically born male transgender women to play in women's sports, in sports that are for biological women. The school systems and the NCAA and the High School Athletics Association and so on have been quick to toe the line and allow transgender women to play in biological women's sports, and they have not defended women as a whole, as an entirety. And the reasoning being is saying that this is unfair to transgender women for them not to be able to play in women's sports. That's not true. That's an awful argument because biological women have women's sports so that they can compete against people of similar caliber capabilities and not have to compete against men. If we were going to allow anyone a free fall to compete, then what's to say that any man can't compete in a woman's sport and vice versa? That's crazy. This is so that the skill levels will be matched and for safety reasons. And I get it, so you've got people like Blair Fleming and Leah Thomas who are identifying as women and presenting as women. At least Blair Fleming is. I don't know about Leah Thomas because I haven't studied Leah Thomas enough other than to know that Leah Thomas jumped into the swimming meet and broke records by just incredible speeds faster than any biological woman has done, which is a travesty because Leah Thomas's scores were more closer with the men's and didn't give the women a chance against Leah. And then you have Blair, who I think is probably closer match to women, but still has an incredible spike that has hurt some people, and has even some of her teammates that became part of the lawsuit. So they even went against her. Some teammates of hers went against her, saying that she should not be allowed. Let's face it, women, it's tough because society wants to be codependent on people who are transgender because they think that we should accommodate them because they are not able to do certain things because of who they are, because of how they feel. And that is at the expense of women who are just trying to play in the categories and by the rules that they're presented with. And then they have someone who was born a biological male come in and compete against them and, run roughshod on them. This is just, it's crazy. And I realize that somebody is going to lose out. Somebody is going to suffer for this situation. So we're saying it's okay for someone who's born a biological male to come in, and someone who has a physical structure to their body. In other words, their skeletal structure, their lung capacity, their even their muscles, even though it's impacted by hormones, and that's questionable on whether they're testing for hormone levels and so on, that they're allowed to come in and take the place from women that would otherwise be there. Leah Thomas took medals away from women that deserve it, and Leah Thomas holds those medals. I just cannot understand how Leah Thomas in good conscience can feel good about winning those medals, knowing that Leah Thomas has natural abilities that no other swimmer has that's competing at the women's level. How can you feel good about that, knowing that you have a competitive edge to come in there and do that, and you're taking away something from women who have worked really hard to be successful in that arena? There's nothing stopping Leah Thomas from competing against males or competing in independent categories that would be co-ed. I don't know if they're available, but Leah Thomas does not deserve the medals that Leah Thomas got. I think that's extremely unfair. And I just find it amazing that there are so many people that are that support the transgender quote unquote rights, which is I think is unfair because we're giving special treatment to people based on how they say they feel and what they want. And so because they're transitioning, then we're taking away from people from what we've set the program up for. And so that's just very disappointing. I would think that these transgender athletes should be considerate of their fellow athletes and realize that while it may hurt, it may not feel good to surrender their position, that it would say a lot about their character to not put themselves in that position to take something away that is deserved to go to somebody else or intended to go to somebody else just because they think they can and because a judge will rule in favor of them. I think society has really gone off the deep end to sit there and say that I've seen statements that transgender women are the same as biological women. Well, that's absolutely not true. Transgender women do not have the same biological markers as women do. Transgender women do not have the same skeletal structure as women do. They don't have several attributes that women do. Now, you can do facial feminization. You can do hormones to cause breast development. You can do laser treatment. You can do all kinds of things. You can have surgery to have your hips modified. You can have a rib pulled out. You can have breast implants. But you know what? And you can have bottom surgery. The bottom line is that does not change your biological character of who you are. It doesn't make you a different person. It makes you a modified version of who you are. It modifies your body, but it doesn't modify your mind. It doesn't modify who you are. You're still the same person that you were born. That doesn't say that you might not make that you know, maybe you make an attractive woman that passes and that society just sees as a woman. That's fine. That, you know what, I think that's great if that works out for you. I think that you know, wonderful if that's what you want to do and you're of age. But I think that it's a huge mistake in the case of athletes to allow this to happen. And it's tearing apart our foundation for sports in collegiate sports and in high school sports. It is detrimental to the community. And, you know, when a transgender athlete gets special treatment to be placed into those roles, they are taking away from women who have a right to be there. They're removing rights to women. And so I can see that what that does is it creates animosity and resentment between groups that builds. It does not tear down barriers by having transgender women compete in women's sports. That builds barriers. That causes division. And that causes people to go against people who are dealing with gender dysphoria as a whole in the community. That is not healthy for the community. So while you might make one person feel good, you're doing it at the detrimental of hundreds, if not thousands of people. So when Blair Fleming plays volleyball, when Leah Thomas swims, that is detrimental to hundreds, if not thousands of people dealing with gender dysphoria, and detrimental to thousands of women, and detrimental to the entire community as a whole, creating resentment and friction and division. So if you really want to know why division's happening, why friction's happening in these cases, why resentment's happening, it's because of a few people that are wanting to play sports in a category that they don't necessarily fit in, and having judges and having the NCAA and having the high school athletics and having affirming associations, having them push this for one person out of however many. It's impacting everybody. You're creating division, and you're setting yourself back off of it. And this is the truth. It's just the way it is. So to come through for this person, you're not helping to set the standard for what it's like going to be in the future for everybody. You're not opening the floodgates for thousands of people to play sports with the gender that they feel like. That's not happening. You don't have enough people that are coming in there, and you're going to have constant friction. You are not going to break down that barrier because you're doing something that's not right. I'm sorry that it doesn't work out for you. I know what it's like not to be able to play sports, not to be able to participate, not to do things that you feel comfortable doing. I mean, and I dealt with gender dysphoria. You know, there was stuff that I wanted to do that I would have liked to have done with the girls and participated as female, but I didn't get to do that. It didn't wreck my life. It created a lot of anxiety, but you know what? I'm glad I'm not in this situation right now, because that may have caused major damage to my life down the road if I would be. I just don't see how you're helping these people to make them have a better life. And I mean, that's literally the way I see it. That's my opinion. I know there's lots of people that feel that way, and I think just comes down to a bottom line. If you're a transgender athlete, you really need to think about this. You need to think about your community. You need to think about what is the impact of you playing in a sport that is meant to be for women to have, and you're taking it away from somebody. And think about the abilities that you have compared to the other people in the sport. You have an unfair advantage. Are you physically that much greater? And do you think that you being in that sport is worthwhile? Does that set a precedent? Does that really help transgender people? Are you helping your community by doing it? Or are you creating more friction? Are you creating more problems for your community and more resentment that's going to set back other people in your community? That's my opinion. You can take it or leave it. Leave a comment if you'd like. I'm sure that I'm going to get pushback on this, but I welcome that. I welcome that. And, you know, I want people to feel good about themselves and to experience all that life has to offer. I don't care if you're trans. I don't care if you're biological. You know, I want us all to get along. I want us all to work on this. But this is a divisive topic that is not going to resolve itself until respect is shown on both sides. And respect is hard to be shown when things are taken away. And I don't see this ending until it gets narrowed down to literally biological women being in women's sports, and people who are dealing with gender issues, transgender women, they're going to open sports or they compete in men's sports. And that's my video for right now. I hope you have a blessed day, and I'll see you soon.